First of all, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Happy you're here. Hope you had a nice holiday. To start on Corey Perry, there's no update on that end. He's away from the team, will remain so for the foreseeable future. I'm unable to provide any further update on that front. With respect to Taylor Hall, he's going to have surgery Monday in Minnesota, and obviously disappointed for Taylor. I think he came in and was played well when he was in the lineup, but unfortunately he's banged up a couple times, and time to get him back to full health. We look forward to having him return next year 100% ready to go. That'll take questions.
Can you give us any insight into Corey's situation? Is this a team decision? Is this a decision on his part? Is there something, is there any indication you can give us just to kind of tamp down the speculation?
Right, yeah, I know, I understand that. It's been a team decision, but so far to hold him out, and that's about all I'm able to.
So it's coming from your guys' end and not Corey's end?
It is coming from the organization's end, okay. Yes.
Does Luke know about what's wrong? Like he said yesterday, he was also moved on.
I don't want to get into specifics on, who knows what or what's going on. I'll just leave that internal for now.
This doesn't relate to a trade. Can you clarify that?
I think it's to start ruling anything out, I think is irresponsible. So I'm just gonna not comment on any possible outcome of this.
Without having Perry around and without having Paul around, does that make you want to maybe go out and add somebody to this team? Or are you comfortable with the guys you bring up from Rockford and just hoping that they can hang in?
We'll see. It's not an easy thing to do, just to add on the fly, especially this early in the season. There are probably other teams that would be far more aggressive than us in trying to add talent if we were to look at that. It's not something I'm looking at right now. We'll see how Cole and Joey assimilate to the group and how they do. I thought they both played really well last night. Obviously, that's just one game, but we're hopeful that they can jump in and fill some roles, and also hopefully we can get some players back at some point. Andreas and potentially we'll see with Colin Blackwell his progress, but hopefully we get some bodies back on that end too that will kind of help the group. But I'm not ruling anything out, but at this point it would be difficult to be aggressive in adding to the team.
How much do you got a couple signings.
Yeah, right, yeah.
How much do you lose though in the room too? I mean, obviously you brought a couple of these veterans in to help the kids, so to speak, along and everything, and how much do you lose that presence without Perry, without Paul, and how, who do you lean on in that absence?
Yeah, I think there's been a significant growth in the group as a collective. We did bring some players in, but we had some strong leaders already here, and so it's just a collective leadership group that's going to continue forward. I've been really happy with how the collective is led so far, and I trust that they will do so moving forward. You look to some of the older veterans that have been around and have been added that are in that locker room right now, and I have no fear that there's enough quality leadership to carry this forward.
You mentioned Athens. Are he and Ginordi close to skating at all?
I believe Jared is skating on his own right now, and Andreas is still not at that point. So hopefully we can get him on the ice sooner than later, but we'll.
You brought in Cody Perry to be a leader and give him an A. Has this all been disappointing when I have to go through this?
You know what? I think I'll just kind of reserve comment on that at this point. I think what I will say is I'm very happy with where the locker room is right now, the leadership we're getting, and the people that are in the locker room today and moving forward. I think it's a great group with some great leadership capabilities, and then some young players that are growing into leaders themselves, and so we'll look for that, but I've got no fear about the locker room moving forward.
With Blackwell, is a conditioning stint something you could do with him, or something that you considered?
Yeah, it's something we could. I think we have to get to that point and see how he's doing. I think he's been skating quite a bit. it's just not quite there. He's not feeling quite ready to jump into the lineup. So we'll see when we get there, when we get to that point, if that's something we consider. But it is an option.
Is Corey physically okay?
Again, I don't want to rule anything in or out. I'd rather just, I'm unable to comment on it.
Perry and Hall were two of the most reliable scorers on the team. Obviously, Bedard's found himself a nice line there, but do you worry that without much other scoring that things could get ugly here? And maybe like Patrick Kane used to always talk about trying to avoid a losing mentality. Do you worry that if the team isn't built to score, that can creep in?
You know what? I think it's always something you're considering. It's always something you're thinking about. But that's why there's some leaders that have been through some streaks and how to get out of a rut. It's important to have in there, and we do have that in there. And so we'll lean on them. But as far as the scoring, I think we've got some young players that we hope will continue to step up and increase the ability of our team to put offense on the board. And so we'll lean on them. Obviously, Connor's line's been playing well, but you know what? Look at Jason Dickinson's line with Foligno. They were dynamite last night, and so we'll look for contributions throughout the lineup, and hopefully some of these players that came up from Rockford give a little extra juice to the offense in the forward group moving forward.
What have you observed from that top line, Bedard, Reichel, and Kurship? I'm sure it's a future that you want to see, and what's been your feedback from that so far?
I think it's their ability to transition with pace, get up and create chances in high danger areas. I think they work well off each other. They complement each other well. They seem to be able to find each other on the ice. It's one thing to get shots on the net, but it's also another to get shots on the net from more high danger areas. And I think they're capable of doing that. And they're just naturally, I think it's naturally in their hockey sense to try and get to those areas.
I really like that. I think Bedard just.
Assuming that was just Bedard coming on.
Right, I think so.
Just
Jared
how
Tenori's
you thought
back.
he's handled everything this season thus far.
Oh, fantastic. I check in with him every now and then, but it's not even something that crosses my mind anymore. Coming into the league, you never know. 18, but he's just taken it in stride, and I don't think he's phased at all by it. So no worries at all.
I know you're not on the business side of things, but the fact that you do have this many kids at a game, at a random practice in November, screaming for an 18-year-old team, like, what has he meant to this franchise in just such a short amount of time?
Yeah, it's honestly really, the response has been incredible. I think we saw it on that opening road trip where obviously it was the first couple games and there's intrigue around that, but even at our morning skates, at our warm-ups, there's just more people, and they've got Bedard signs and whether it's at the hotel or after games, there's just always people around. There's this great intrigue, and it's extremely important. It's hope, excitement is a big thing for a team and a fan base, and he, along with a lot of our other prospects, have provided people with that, and so there's some positive momentum there, and you see it every day at the rink. You hear it, you feel it, whether it's practice here or away. It's real, and it's exciting.
I know that Korchinski, you'll probably have to make a call on that, the World Juniors in a few weeks. Is that even a possibility with them, or do you expect him to stay here?
Yeah, my inclination would be for him to stay here. I think, out of respect, I think you would just consider everything and want to make sure the player's in the best position possible, and you want to consider that, but honestly hasn't really crossed my mind all that much. I think he's been playing really well. Standard ups and downs for any young player. You'll go through those. They make mistakes, but that's okay. You learn from your mistakes, and that's why we have a coaching staff to help them work through that. That's why you have veteran players to help them work through that, and I think he's worked through that incredibly well. And really glad to see him rewarded with the goal last night in overtime and unbelievable environment. It was a great game, great overtime, and excited that he was able to experience that.
With Reichel, you mentioned during camp that you saw him as a center. Has that opinion changed, and how would you assess his situation right now?
Yeah, I think it's something on an ongoing basis. didn't think he had his greatest games at center, so I think it's also a little bit of getting him feeling good, getting him feeling positive, and moving in the right direction. And I think with Connor and Phil, they've found a little something, and they work well with each other. Doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Doesn't mean that that's ingrained for the next game or the couple weeks ahead. If it's working, we'll stick with it. But if something's not clicking, then someone else will jump up, and you'll get a different spot, or someone else will get a different spot. So nothing's over and done with as far as the center position. It's just this seems to be working fairly well right now, and so we'll just continue with that.
It's a smaller sample size to see Kurashev playing at this level, producing for the first time in his career consistently. Does that change the calculus a little bit? That's another guy that maybe you weren't counting on to be in that kind of top 6 picture.
It is nice. It's really nice to see him, converting on his chances, producing points, producing offense, and sometimes you just never know what's going to click and what's going to work, and what will complement either his game or someone like Connor's game. You try and figure out all the answers going in, and you think you perhaps know more than you actually do, but you just have to trial and error, and I think it's worked well so far, and they seem to at least be a pair that works well. And then Lucas has been a nice addition to the group, but it's exciting for him. I think he's gotten more role down the lineup in the past, and it's nice to see him contribute a little higher up the lineup now.
Along with Taylor Hall's offensive presence for bringing him in, another big reason was to bring Bedard under his wing. With Hall gone now, are you worried about filling that void, or is Connor just kind of really taken off?
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. It's not like he's, especially for Connor or any of the other young guys, it's a reference, right? And he's not. They're friends. They can talk anytime. Get advice anytime. It doesn't necessarily have to be live and in person on the bench or something like that. A lot of it is life advice and time management advice, or whatever it may be. And so he's still there as a resource and as a friend, and so that's not going away. So I don't worry about it.
There's no timeline at this point.
No.
Has it been nice to see Foligno step up seems like he's really kind of the voice of the team at this point, such a huge leader. When you have those other veteran leaders go out, then he's kind of filling the void just all by himself.
Absolutely. I think it's I'm not saying anything new when you call him the main vocal presence on the team. You see it in the behind the scenes videos, you see it on the ice in practice, and so he's been absolutely fantastic. I can't say enough positive things about Nick. He's been an incredible addition to the group, both for the young guys and for the veterans that were here prior to him arriving. And so, absolutely fantastic. And I think it's important to have people like that in your organization. Happy and fortunate to have them.